Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, good morning. Today we're starting out the day in green, a little bit in the green, a little bit higher than yesterday. And we do have a lot of news from around the world about rate cuts. And there is a big decision today. There's a big FOMC decision that will be coming out roughly around 1 p.m. today. Um, there is going to be a FOMC meeting, but prior to that, we will get a press release on what the Fed is going to do or not going to do in this case, right? So let's talk about it. The U.S. market is starting on the green, which is really good. Look at Nasdaq today. Finally, after dumping and dumping and dumping all the big magnificent seven, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, everyone dumping today, it's looking pretty good. So that's definitely helping things. But I think that's because we got a lot of rate news from around the world. Bank of Japan actually raises rates by 0.25%. Now, everywhere else in the world, we want cuts. Japan is the only country where we want rates because they've held this negative interest rate policy for years, and it's been destroying the Japanese yen against the dollar, against all fiat currencies. They are actually suffering hugely due to their policy from before, and that's because they suffer from was it a decade of non-growth, decades of non-growth. I forgot what they call it. But they've suffered this before in the 80s and they don't want to go through it again. So while other countries during COVID time till now, while other countries have raised rates, right, and now looking to like cut rates, Japan is the only one just kept it at zero this whole time and has totally decimated their their currency. Basically, it's been losing, debasing versus all the currencies out there, and that's why their economy is in the shambles right now. So they're actually looking to raise rates at this point, and they just did so. And I think this is pretty positive, at least for people of Japan, right? So this is something that came out, basically something that I mean, they're just the way their economy is just so different from everyone else, right? Again, they've been keeping a zero negative interest rate policy, and their central bank has been buying bonds and bonds and bonds and nonstop bonds, keeping things afloat, but it's just not working, right? This goes to show you, I've talked about um, I've talked about how the financial system in the US and around the world are basically built on house of cards and they don't really work. And somehow, governments around the world are keeping afloat by either printing more money, borrowing more money, trying to adjust rates up and down, trying to keep things afloat. But in the end, they're all going to collapse. This is the reason why Bitcoin was created. And back in 2009, when we had, a situation where all the banks were going to fail in 2008, and every single one had to be bailed out by governments and their money printers. I mean, this is the reason why Bitcoin is created because you can't trust any of these central banks or governments around the world. They're just they're just trying to sustain what is, and at some point they're all going to fail. But anyways, I went off on a tangent there. So that's Bank of Japan, and of course people are wondering what Bank of England is going to do. Are they going to cut, right? Um, or not? I think they're probably going to follow in the footsteps of the U.S. Right? I think that's what it is. I guess this is going to be voted upon on Thursday. Um, and I know ECB already cut it. Bank of England, they passed up on cutting a couple times now. So a lot of people are thinking that they will cut, right? And I don't know. It just seems like a Bank of England tends to follow what Powell does. And Powell, of course, have not cut. So we'll see. Maybe Bank of England surprises and cuts ahead of time. But What I really want to know is what Fed Chair Powell is going to do today, which I think is we already know nothing. I don't think there's any chance of a of a cut today. I think we have to wait until September until the next FOMC meeting. There's nothing in August, but who knows? Maybe he says something surprising. Maybe he's going to say something surprising. Earlier prior this year, he said that there was going to be three rate cuts. Now he has changed it to one rate cut. Maybe he's going to change it and say, hey, I wouldn't put it past maybe adding one more rate cut this year to having two again. Something like that would be very, very positive. But what he's probably going to say is, well, based on inflation still coming down, but we're not at 2% yet, and economic data showing that we are getting weaker as a country, as an economy, right? So we're looking to cut, but we don't want to do anything prematurely. We don't want to rush. We want to make sure that, um, you know, what does he always say? We need to have more data before making a decision, right? So I don't think anything's gonna happen today. But maybe we get a surprise. Maybe we get a surprise and he says something out of the blue. I'm hoping so. But man, if we get that rate cut today, the markets will blow up. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I just don't think it'll happen. But again, going back to what I was ranting about, basically all the central banks, and the governments around the world, they're all trying to sustain what is the fiat currencies, the USD, the euro, the sterling, the yen, whatever it may be. But in the end, they're all going to go to zero because everything, all the monetary policy that countries apply, easing and tightening, and none of that really works when the money printers keep on printing and inflation keeps on growing and debts around the world keeps on getting larger and larger and larger to unsustainable rates. I mean, the US is going to pay more than $1 trillion in just interest alone this year. Just think about that. With the deficit above $35 trillion now. How is that sustainable when you have to pay $1 trillion worth of interest per year? Not to mention how much you have to pay back just to cover those loans, those notes and yields and bonds and everything, right? Treasuries. I mean, it's just unsustainable. This is the reason why we have Bitcoin. This is the reason why we have Bitcoin. Now, going back to Bitcoin, what is happening today? Well, Mt. Gox moves 3.1 billion. They're probably again, they've been moving large amounts to exchanges, and exchanges are distributing them out. I guess that's the process. So another 3.1 billion to BitGo. So overall, they've distributed most of it. Now they're down to only 5.3 billion. Okay, that's still a large amount, but way less than before. They started out with 140,000 Bitcoin. Now they're down to 80,000. And the market overall has been eating this up, mostly because they haven't been selling, I think. I think most creditors, the people that have gotten their Bitcoin back, have just basically been holding it, right? So this FUD I've mentioned just even last night, we got a lot of FUD nonstop. Is it going to come to an end pretty soon, at least with Mt. Gox? So that's good. In the end, just remember, Bitcoin is scarce. There's only going to be 21 million. Unlike fiat, which have no set supply, Bitcoin does. Okay? And a large amount of the 21 million is lost forever. So there's really just not that much to go around. That's why this is the one asset you want to hold. You want to hold forever because it's only going to get more scarce. And because of it, and because demand is going up, the price is going to follow, right? But we have large chunks being removed into ETFs, into these institutions and whales, right? And even governments. But look at this, 2.7% in governments. What happens when the US and China and everyone else starts hoarding Bitcoin? That percentage is going to go up hugely, right? Same thing, the ETFs going up, corporations going up, right? Make sure you grab a piece for yourself before it's too late. Speaking of institutions, ETF London is going to be listing their Bitcoin. Well, I should say Fidelity is going to be listing their Bitcoin ETF, ETP. It's not ETF, but pretty close. Physical ETP on a London Stock Exchange soon. And ETFs overall have just been doing absolutely fantastic. Yesterday was a negative day because Grayscale actually sold more than BlackRock bought, but no, I take that back. BlackRock still bought more than Grayscale. However, some of the others did sell. So overall, we had a net outflow day. But, like I've been saying, BlackRock has been accumulating, and accumulating some more. $75 million worth yesterday, right? Larry Fink knows what's going on. And all the big institutions and whales that have been buying, they know what's going on. Okay. And here's something else that's very positive. When it comes to Ethereum ETFs, we actually had a net inflow yesterday. And again, that's thanks to BlackRock. BlackRock had an absolutely huge day. Grayscale sold 120 million. BlackRock took in 118 million, almost one for one right there. But the other ETFs also had inflow. So we're starting to see some positivity, right? If this continues, where we continue to see more inflows and outflows, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But we know that Grayscale will continue to dump and dump and dump and dump some more for quite some time. I don't think that's going to stop. But what I also do know is BlackRock is happy to take it in, happy to take in all the Bitcoin that's flowing out of Grayscale, and happy to take in all the Ethereum that's also flowing out of Grayscale, right? It's almost like in out one pocket into another pocket when it comes to Grayscale and BlackRock at this point. And BlackRock, like I've been saying, no one wants them to hold large percentage of anything. But Larry Fink knows what's going on, and he does not want to sell any bit at this point. Now, as for last few things, as for price movement, we know that Bitcoin is stuck in a rut right now, has not been able to surpass 70,000, even though that was just days ago. Okay, remember, we were at 70,000 just days ago, not weeks ago, not months ago, right? So overall, we're still sitting pretty. We haven't formed that next high yet. I know that, but it's going to come, right? You just have to have patience. Everything that we have that's charting Bitcoin's trajectory right now shows that we are moving according to plan, and this is the time to be loading up, not the time to be feared out, not time to have a lot of fun and get panicked over any little thing that's coming out, especially the volatility. We know there is always volatility. We always have dips. We always have fun, but Bitcoin does not care and continues to move forward and higher every single cycle. In this cycle, we are still projected to go to $250,000, guys. Okay, so that is why you don't want to give up. Lastly, you guys know, as for Pump.Fun, the DApp to create all the meme coins, right? They're still doing well, even though meme coins have been going down. Overall volume and just overall meme coins are doing well, are going down. But look at this. Pump.Fun is still making 2.31 million in revenue, more than all of Ethereum, all of Tron, even all of Solana. How does that even make sense, right? But what's interesting about it is now there's something else that's called Dumping.Fun, which allows users to short meme coins right now. I don't even know how that's going to work, but I just find it funny because we have one that's meant to create memes, and now we're going to have one that's meant to short memes. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. All right, guys, that's it for today's update. Just want to give you guys a quick update on what's going on. A lot of factors revolving around rates around the world. We're going to have a decision later today, and we'll see what happens. Okay, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Remember, stick with Bitcoin. Continue to hold on DCA. Take care. Bye bye.